Way back in 1822, when Indiana was still a kid, a really strange thing happened. It's gonna flip your lid. In Indiana's early days, the land was far more dense, filled up with trees that reached the skies, though they've been cleared out since. Back then, those trees were like a canopy from which the birds took flight. Branches reached out from trunk to trunk so close they blocked the light. And underneath this overhang of tight-together boughs, Hoosiers raised their cabins, raised their crops, and raised their cows. Fall arrived that year like normal. Nothing strange was going down. That is, until a bunch of squirrels arrived outside of town. Now, when I say a bunch of squirrels, you might think just a few, but no. It was a squirrel stampede in 1822. A stampede, something epic. A stampede, something grand. A stampede makes a rumble that is heard across the land. Much like a plague of locusts, the squirrels came swarming in, and crops that once were lush and full were quickly growing thin. The farmers, they were desperate, unsure of what to do to save their precious crops from being eaten by the crew. They couldn't stand around and wait till winter came along. By the time the ice and snow arrived, their corn would all be gone. Now, squirrels are wily creatures and fast as lightning too, but as their bellies filled with grain, as small squirrel bellies do, they started moving slowly, like molasses from the jar. The stampede changed to furry carpet, sluggish squirrels from near to far, and farmers seized upon this change and knew they had to act because squirrels are easier to catch when they're not moving. That's a fact. Hoosiers took up nets and guns and sticks and carried sacks, and as they launched off on the hunt, they dreamt of squirrely snacks. Maybe a nice squirrel tenderloin, squirrel pie, or warm squirrel salad. Oh, a biscuit with squirrel gravy is a great treat for the palate. Hoosier farmers figured, if they're gonna eat our crops, then we'll eat them, and that is how we'll make this stampede stop. Those pioneering Hoosiers, with their nets and with their guns, scooped up squirrels by the hundreds till they'd captured every one, and they feasted on squirrel hams and steaming plates of rich squirrel stew, 'cause the squirrels had eaten all their corn. There was nothing left to chew. And you might pause to wonder why it was those squirrels into Indiana eating folks out of house and home, and you'd be wise to ponder, so we don't repeat this tome. See, when those settlers cleared the trees for land to plant their grain, they took away the leafy kingdom where the squirrels had held their reign. So the squirrels were forced to flee, to find new homes, to find new food. And the question we might ask then is, who was it that was most rude? The Earth's a great big marble floating off in outer space, and I think that we can all agree it's quite an awesome place. We just have to be more kind to all the creatures living there, whether they have just furry heads or are furry everywhere. Balance is important, as I'm sure you can concede, and no one wants to ever see another squirrel stampede.